This week has been all about one man, and he's not new to the news. Sammy Gyamfi, the National Communications Officer of the governing new National Democratic Congress, and also the Chief Executive Officer acting of the new Ghana Gold Board. That incident captured on tape, which has since gone viral. Sammy Gyamfi launching into his vehicle and counting dollars and giving it to self-styled evangelist Nana Agrada has really caught the attention of the public and has received widespread condemnation. Sammy Gyamfi himself, barely days or hours after that video surfaced online, came out and apologized for what he described as his own indiscretion and promised to do better. But even after that, the jury was still after him. There were so many people who called for his complete dismissal, including Professor of Law or Associate Professor of Law at the University of Ghana, Kwaku Asante Etua, who called on the president to make an example of his acting Gold Board CEO to send a signal to all its appointees that such indiscretion will not be tolerated. John Mahama at the time was outside the country. His chief of staff, Julius Debra, hauled in the Gold Board CEO for questioning. And after that, we've subsequently heard from the presidency that after a caution, there will be no further action against Mr. Sammy Gyamfi. The president himself today at an event here in Accra, after giving some dancers about 500 Ghana cedis, did actually say that, well, he does not want any controversy. The money he gave was cedis and not dollars. It tells you how big this matter has been. So tonight on Ghana Connect, was the president right in not taking any further action against Sammy Gyamfi for that amount of money? And what should we do as a Ghanaian, as a people, on this politicians and the spree of gifting and sharing money all over? Some money, some persons will say they may not even be able to account for. This and many more right here on Ghana Connect right after these messages.
The other day, I visited Kwaku at his spunky new office to congratulate him on opening his business. And man, was I impressed. The business is just moving quick. The sales, customers, everything is just working seamlessly. The secret? He said,
it's MTN Business Broadband. In this fast-paced environment, we need fast and reliable internet to support all business types. No laggy online meetings, great download and upload speeds, impeccable business management systems, all inclusive. I mean, you can have it all.
Sharp! I signed on immediately.
To enable your business stay ahead and stay connected, make sure you're signed on to the best internet made just for businesses. MTN Business Broadband. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh and manage your account on my MTN app. Call 0244 308 111 for more information. We are good together everywhere you go.
M&C Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in minerals and food commodity trading, precious minerals refinery, real estate development, and logistics and energy. With individually registered companies, our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia in the USA, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal. Call us on 0302 551 917 or 0302 551 918 or send us an email mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com. MNC Group, totally reliant.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC BBC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Brush your teeth every day and night. Up and down and all around. Brush your teeth and bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad. Underneath and in between. Brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hey, dear new Yamsa. And you stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. You send it this way, you have it now. New Yanits now. No, be a baby, some demoni in us. Dear new Yamsa. Fair quiet, yes, in Beer Association Ontario. Use stay soft and New Yanits now. Nani boss to tap from cry. A fabric softener. And you near say, sir. Choose to stay soft. No, no, so say, you know. FDIT a dreading cratu yatu.
Sasso, siku mentonton preko. Sasso, siku mentonton preko. Edrana drami nebu seshe. Ye hakesia ne malaria. Minya me kone me sasso spray. Every mosquito study run away. Tonton preko. Sasso, mi se come tonton preko. Come tonton preko. Sasso, come tonton preko. Nani shamne die demo stronko.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to Ghana Connect. And this week, like I told you, it's all been about one man, Sammy Gyamfi, and this is why.
In the video, which has since gone viral, Sammy Gyamfi is first seen posing for a photo with Mama Pat, also known as Nana Agrada, and then proceeds to shake hands with a man standing next to them, then gets into his car. Mr. Gyamfi is shortly seen counting an undisclosed amount of dollar notes, giving her a portion. Mama Pat, standing by the door, asks for the whole sum in his hand, saying, "What will happen if you give the whole amount to me?" He proceeded to snatch the notes, including the sum he wanted to keep. Sammy Gyamfi's car drove off after that. Monday. Agrada, visibly excited, left saying, "I've been able to take dollars from Sammy Gyamfi, who say woman no day," as the others followed, attempting to get some favors, saying, "Mommy, we are here. Mommy, let's share." This video has attracted varied reactions, especially from social media, condemning the actions of the Goodbot CEO. President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, described the incident difficult as he believes that the amount.
Yes, that is Sammy Gyamfi in the news this week. But connecting on this very important matter, because it's such a big national conversation that must be had. A nuanced conversation, not just about public officers and what they give or what they do not give, but about transparency, but also where are public officers getting the money they are giving out all over the place, when some of them, they are public, their salaries are things that you can really track. Julius Kwame Anthony is in the studio with us and is connecting on this important matter. Julius, it's good to have you connect with us. He's with Presidency Communications.
Kwaku, it's a pleasure to be here.
Dennis Apialabi is with the MPP's communications team. I understand he is not in the country as we speak, but he's connecting with us on this very important matter. Dennis, it's good to have you connect with us.
Kwaku, I'm happy to join you guys, and my kindest regards to Kwame in the studios. Kwame, I beg, do then send me dollars.
But I hope exactly. I hope you told your family people before you traveled that they are not hearing for the first time on radio that you are not around, so that they can.
I am back next week. I came shortly. I'll be back next week. So
Come
it's more of a very short trip. So it wasn't much of a. I just came to collect some couple of things. Said I'll be back.
Great.
I'll be back to take my dollars from Kwame and his boss.
Nana Kofi Akwa is pastor and blogger. Always a delight to have him on Set Conversations on Ghana Connect. Nana, it's good to have you.
Thank you, Quick. Good to hear your voice too.
Great. So let me start from you. When you saw the video, what exactly ran through your mind?
I mean, young politician. I don't know. I mean, considering they just came into power, I don't know where the dollars came from. But the ease with which he could part with such an amount of money very casually in his fancy car. Unfortunately, I don't know a lot about him, so I don't know if he was a very successful business person who already had his money, like Elon Musk, already had his money before getting into politics. All of this is newfound wealth. Because I don't know much about him, but my biggest question has been the splurging. And I mean, I know that we just voted a government out of power that was known for sitting on all the money and not letting it trickle down. So, so that's it. But I feel that the fact that Ghanaians are agitated by what he did is good. My wish is that our complaint won't be about the appearance. So, for example, when his party leaders and government leaders are advising him, the advice shouldn't be that don't be caught on camera doing this. The advice should be that you have no business doing this. Because as a culture, we are very big on appearances. We are more careful. Like you can have a couple whose marriage isn't working, but as long as they wear the same type of fabric on Sunday and show up in church and they are smiling, and they get the applause, they are happy with it. No. What do we want as a people? What kind of leadership do we want? What kind of nation do we want to build? Being generous as a leader is a virtue, but when is it excessive? Where is this money coming from? And over and above all, if he personally, in his own capacity as a citizen, has enough resources, enough private resources to be able to be splurging, well, that is then nobody's business, But because he's a public servant, we have every right to be agitated, and we have every right to ask, where did he get the money from, And I mean, considering that the person he was dealing with is a public figure of sorts, and she has thousands of followers, she runs the church with thousands of followers. Was he saying thank you for her contribution towards the election? Because we know a lot of churches use their platforms.
As for that one, I can even directly answer. Nana Grada did campaign openly against Sammy Gyamfi's party in the just ended election. In fact, he campaigned openly for the governing party, the MPP, at the time.
Okay, so why is he giving her money?
It's a big question, and people have sought to explain that as though he met him at the funeral. She met him at the funeral, accosted him, said give him money and all that. But interesting opening remarks that you've made there. I want to come to you, Dennis. The NPP has sought to make a very big deal out of this. In fact, there was a news conference in Parliament this week. The party itself did hold another news conference. And just yesterday, a member of Parliament, together with a party hierarchy, did send petitions to the SHRAJ, Ghana Police Service, CID, and also the Special Prosecutor after someone had gone to SHRAJ and withdraw their petition. Don't you? I mean, there are those who say that the NPP is simply clutching on straws, trying to gain some relevancy in a matter that should not even be getting the kind of national attention it did get.
First of all, before I come to whether the NPP is clutching on straws or not, I think that we need to applaud Nana Grada very well. The woman is crafted, she's gifted, and she's very, very smart. She conned the gods, she conned the church, and she's been able to con a full political party. And unfortunately, my own Sammy Gyamfi is the first casualty. I think that the issue of whether it is of significance and if NPP is crouching onto straws, you have answered it. And let me tell you how you have answered it. The fact that you have given airtime, national airtime, valuable airtime of a reputable company like Joy News. The fact that you have Kofi on the other line, a pastor, a revered blogger. The fact that Julius Kwame Anthony of the presidency, and the fact that I am speaking, I'm joining you right across the Atlantic. The fact that it is here alone tells you it is of national significance. It is not the NPP that has made it a big issue. It is not the NPP that is crouching onto anything. It is you and I, the ordinary Ghanaians on social media on the street, who have brought this issue to prominence. Left to my personal opinion alone, and this is very personal, no leader of NPP would have even worried themselves to talk about this. Left to me alone. Do you know why? Because the good people of this country have made it a significant issue enough. And then you would have to understand why Ghanaians have made it a big issue. It is not why NPP is making it a big issue, because the issue was not made a big issue by NPP. NPP did not walk into your studio, Kwaku, to tell you that put this on your national, on radio. NPP did not influence your editorial. Your editorial has deemed this a big issue enough to have a national conversation on it. So it is a big issue. What rather is happening is an attempt by certain persons to water down the significance of the issue. I am not saying he's done anything wrong. I'm not saying he's done anything right. I am just saying that for a fact, it is the Ghanaian people who have decided that this deserves our recognition as an issue. Secondly, why is it a big issue? Again, is because we have pressing national issues to discuss, but this matter has taken our attention and our focus away. It has taken our attention and focus away out of the fact that there's an energy crisis that you and I must be discussing today. Something that is affecting every single person. Something that the Honorable Minister for the sector is worried and concerned and is holding so many media briefings on it. Something that has necessitated Car Power to write a letter, a notice, that if $400 million is not paid by the government of the Republic of Ghana, they are shutting down our power. So it is a national issue. But as to whether he has the right to share it, he has the right to dole out such huge sums of dollars, I believe that we now have to look at the nuances. Why do I say we have to look at it?
Pretty shortly, but there are those who say that it was just about $800 or even $1,000, $1,200. And Sammy Gyamfi is a person of means. He should be able to give even $2,000, even if it was $3,000.
First of all, I have seen so many of the leading functionaries of the NDC attempt to water the issue down and defend it. I call them the National Defense Academy. Those for who yesterday saw everything wrong with something, but today see everything right with it. Nobody in his or her right senses will attempt to defend this. That's a fact. We can make justifications, we can help, we can say that it is not such a big deal, but defense of this, no. One of the most funny defenses I've heard so far is the amount involved. Kwaku, the amount we saw is not $800. Let me put that on record. Sammy Gyamfi counted not less than 15 notes, and I have taken my time. Those who follow me on Facebook know I follow this issue very well. Taking my time to count the ones that came out of Sammy, and it was hundreds, unless of course we don't know dollars. I don't know much about dollars because I'm still a street hustler, but I saw the notes come out, and then we saw how much Nana Gada snatched from Sammy. So it is not $800. But is my focus on the amount? No, my focus is not on the amount. My focus is that we should not defend it. We should set up ourselves for a conversation of national nature to assess what we want as a country. Are we comfortable with it? Are we not comfortable with it?
I mean, because you've made the point about defense, I want to talk to one person that did make some post when this matter came up. And Julius, who is here, when this matter came up, Julius, these are your words. Sammy gave money to Agrada, and so what? Your ministers who used to give student politicians money anytime they visited them, where did they get it from? Is it the mere giving that is a crime, or the fact that it was videoed. There are those who said that was not a good take. I wonder if on hindsight, what you think of all that has happened, or you really think that we made mountains out of molehills. You still hold to that view?
Kwaku Asante, let's be honest with ourselves. First of all, my concern is whether the controversy that is generated around the issue of Mr. Samuel Gyamfi is about his personality, the personality of the person he gave the money to, the denomination of the currency he gave, or the fact of it being videoed by someone he did not sanction. The reason I say this, and it's a fact, it's in my post, I'm not going to play an ostrich. I was General Secretary of the National Union of Ghana Students. Mr. Dennis Labi Ampofo was President of the National Union of Ghana Students a year after my tenure ended. I mean, we handed over to his administration, actually. And it is practice. When student leaders visit politicians and all of these things, they give them money. They give them money. He can decide to sit on radio and deny it, but I'll leave that to conscience and people within the categories that I'm describing, student leaders. They know this for a fact. If someone videos that and puts in the public space, should the politician or the leader immediately come under scrutiny and questions of corruption, as the New Patriotic Party wants us to believe? If that should be the case, then it means it would border on hypocrisy. Because if you do it, in secret, it is fine. But if someone gives it in public, then it is wrong. That is why I posed those questions. It's an important question to ask. My reason is because my reason is, yes, people say it is the optics. My reason is because if we want to deal with matters of ethics, then matters of ethics do not arise only when the thing is seen. Matters of ethics arise even when it is done in secret. So my question is, do we want to set a general standard of application that as a government official, you are not supposed to hand cash to anybody? If we want to set that general standard of application, I am of the view that the Ghanaian people are sovereign. If they want that should be the standard, then that is the standard we must comply with. But if we don't want that to be a general standard of application, and we are suddenly saying, if you do it and it's a secretly videoed by persons you did not sanction, then you become a problem. But the others, like the ones who would give monies to myself or Dennis, if we visit them in our official capacities as, student leaders, they do it in secret, and so it is okay. Then it means that we are not defining ethical standards. We are attacking personalities because we don't like them. So I am of the view that if we want something to be a general standard of application, then we should interrogate which part of the issue constitutes the problem for us.
Because you're talking about interrogation, let me mention this so that you can continue making the point. Are there no differences in the situations you've cited? So that if you visited the majority leader tomorrow, as a group of students, and then as you leave, he gave you some amount of money and said, okay, this is for you can go and transportation. And then a public officer who goes for a funeral, meets someone, whoever the person may be, whether Grada, whether Kwaku Asante, whether Collins Frimpong, and then goes straight into his car. Then just start counting dollars, as many of them as possible. The other person just gets in, snatch the rest of the dollars, and go away.
I would address the issue of the woman's conduct in the latter part. But per your analogy, okay, this one was a funeral, a social event, like church, which is another social event that politicians attend. We have seen on numerous counts, I've lost count, politicians on both divide, give monies to pastors at churches and all of this. My question is, do we want to define a standard that makes that problematic in its entirety? If we want to do that, I am open to it. The reason why I am open to it is that for those who are in public life, one of the problems they face, the biggest of them, is the general expectation from the rest of the public that when they meet them, they must take money from them. If we can create a situation where it is, a scary enterprise for people to ask them the money in the first place, and in the second place they give it to them, I'll be very, very happy. That is why I am saying that if it is a general standard of application we want to establish, let us establish it. And stop playing hypocrisy, the likes of which makes the personality of Mr. Samuel Gyamfi and Agrada the central issue. Because the critical question I am asking, because some of them even asked that he be dismissed, are we honestly accepting that a conduct which, when it is done around our favorite people, I've seen politicians donate money in our favorite churches, right? The mere fact that we don't see the pastors hustle for more does not necessarily make the difference, because the substantial issue is the fact of giving the money. Why doesn't that raise an issue? It doesn't raise an issue because it is about the personalities. So if you take the issues out of the domain of sentiment, emotions, and all of that, you begin to realize that the substantial issues themselves are not about ethical standards people want to develop. They are about, well, this doesn't look nice. Well, yes, it doesn't look nice also when it is not videoed. That is what I want to say. If that is what we want to do, then let us do that generally and stop putting Mr. Samuel Gyamfi at the center of it. Let's come as a people and say that, well, this conduct where politicians hand cash to people raises serious issues of whatever ethical standards it is we want to define, and agree that, well, we are now applying it to everybody. Let's not create a situation where we play hypocrisy and say, oh, well, because Mr. Samuel Gyamfi was giving it to somebody and he was videoed by someone he did not sanction, then his own becomes a problem. That's a serious issue we must address.
I don't know what Sammy Gyamfi will make of you calling him Samuel Gyamfi, by the way, because he likes Sammy Gyamfi. But I'll come to you, Julius. I want you to hold it there.
Okay.
Make this point in a minute.
A minute, so I wrap up on this so that things are put in proper context. Then the other part of this whole issue is the fact that Mr. Sammy Gyamfi was not motivated by any intention of achieving any personal gain or anything by giving money to Agrada. Indeed, you had said on this show that Agrada was openly campaigning for the opposition New Patriotic Party. And so Mr. Samuel Gyamfi ordinarily has no motivation whatsoever to give money to Agrada. It was just circumstantial. If it is about, these questions of impropriety on basis of it doesn't look good and all of those things, how does it suddenly become so much of an issue that some people were even saying, well, the president cautioning him and letting him go is so bad simply because he gave money to someone who ordinarily he would not want to even tolerate? And I understand, the perspective, because there are multiple views on this issue, especially the motivation for why people are criticizing him. From the base of the National Democratic Congress, which I belong to, their agitation is that, well, this woman was against us, so why are you giving her money? I can understand them. I can understand the fact that, well, they are motivated by the fact that people who did not buy into the vision of the National Democratic Congress should not be seen benefiting from associates of the National Democratic Congress. But the critical question is, if that is their question, what money did Mr. Samuel Gyamfi give to Agrada?
Okay, Julius, please hold it there for me.
State resources or state opportunities.
Great. I see where you're going, but I want to bounce a couple of the things you've said to Nana Kofi-Akwa. And Nana Kofi-Akwa, because you were a religious leader, and because of also the preliminary comments you made, I wonder if you subscribe or where you stand on Julius' points about some of the points having been made in the public domain bordering on hypocrisy. So that what exactly is the issue? Is it that Sammy Gyamfi gave the money openly? Would it be any difference if there was no camera?
Yeah.
And is it the big issue that is dollars? Because during the campaign season, I know presidential candidates whose salaries we know, who walked into churches and donated 200,000 Ghana cedis. And so when politicians, the same politicians, so that let's use Sammy Gyamfi. If Sammy Gyamfi went to any of the known pastor's church or known pastor and then made a public donation of $10,000 even, would your comments and would the public commentary you surmise, would it have been the same? Given the current conversation being had.
I bet it wouldn't. It wouldn't be the same.
I personally feel that, when I saw the video, my first shock was the ease with which he parted with the money, and I feel that also if you are a pastor,
it's the same.
Okay. Would you allow me to talk, please? If you're a pastor and you are in touch with your congregation, you know that actually for the past close to 2 years, it's been extremely difficult for many Ghanaians. You understand? So when you see somebody doling out money with such nonchalance, you have to ask questions. Many times when you are the beneficiary, of course, most people would compromise on all that. But I can say on authority, for example, if anybody is wondering if as a pastor I've ever received any money from any politician, the answer is a big fat no. See, but it doesn't mean that they can't make a donation to a church or anything. What we are saying is that this current party came into power at a time when a lot of Ghanaians were finding life extremely difficult. And the party that was kicked out had become, they just didn't care. They just didn't care. And the opulence and the spread and the abuse, the excesses, they were rubbing the corruption in our faces, and it offended us. So if the NDC was to go back and do their homework, they will realize that there are a lot of people who actually voted for the NDC for the very first time since they started voting, including myself. This is supposed to be my own private information. This was the first time I entered the booth. Normally, I'll cover the elections as a journalist, and I won't bother voting. And the few times in the past when I had voted, I would vote NPP. For the very, very first time, I voted for the NDC because I was just fed up with the blatant corruption and disrespect. You see, and so this party needs to be mindful. And when we say you need to be mindful, it has to come from a genuine place of concern and empathy. If we have money to be able to freely be doling out, what should we be using it for that can properly benefit the country? You understand? If we have this much excess, why are we sleeping in darkness? If we have this much excess, why is the road to Kokrobite a community that generates a lot of revenue in terms of tourism? Why is the road so bad? Do you understand? So we need to ask these questions because we are citizenry. And I mean, I don't know the woman. I don't even know much about the Honorable Sammy Gyamfi himself. You see,
you are really a stranger in this town, Nana Grada.
If you meet a police officer in a choba, and he orders a bowl of food worth 500 Ghana cedis, you will ask questions. Why won't you ask questions? Because you know that based on how much he is paid as salary or expected to be paid as salary at the end of the month, he shouldn't be able to spend 500 Ghana cedis at a sitting on one meal in one day. You see, and you have a right to ask those questions. Part of why corrupt people in this country get away with things is because we think once somebody has money, we shouldn't question it. No, we need to ask. Anybody who has ventured into any building project knows how difficult and how expensive it is. So if all of a sudden somebody became a politician or they became a pastor, and in 2 years they are owning skyscrapers, you have the right to ask questions. What kind of citizen will you be if you can't question the questionable?
Right, Dennis. I wonder where you are in this. Julius talks about a grand hypocrisy of sorts, because he says even if Sammy Gyamfi gave $3,000, and if he converted that and it's 45,000 cedis, as of now, none of us have been independently able to verify the amount. There are those who say 800. I don't believe it was 800 because you see the video clearly. These are $100 notes, and he counted more than 8 of that, and so it's more than $800. But even if it was $2,000, what is the issue? When you made your earlier pronouncement, you steered off saying whether it was wrong or right, but you wanted a public conversation about this. But the question is, why is it a big issue? Is it the camera? Because I bet you this morning some politician somewhere has given someone times 10 that amount. It's not on camera, so nobody knows that. And it was a gift, whatever. We don't know about it, so it's not a big conversation. And this is not someone who joined his cameras with him to go and record. This was somebody that recorded it in whatever way it became. So if this wasn't recorded, it didn't come out the way it did, there will be no conversation on Ghana Connect on this conversation now. So what exactly is the issue Julius is asking?
Kwaku, first of all, let's break this down. The fact that Julius does not see anything wrong, weird, or awkward about whatever is happening is a problem. Let's put that one down. The fact that Julius and the NDC do not find anything problematic is a problem. Two, you talk about whether private or public. Kwaku, are you married? If you are not married, do you have a woman in your life?
I'm looking to 2048.
Okay. So if you are married or you have a woman in your life, there is a reason why Sammy Gyamfi does not give the wife chop money in public. So if you're asking whether private versus public, now let me break it down. If you didn't pay your phone call, everybody should listen very well. In the Bible says, for we have the right to everything, but not everything is worthy of our standing. When you become, Thomas Jefferson says, when you assume public trust, you become public property. The reason why justifying and defending Cecilia Dapa was so difficult was not because there were no traces or there could not be any justifications of the money. Because Cecilia Dapa and the husband have a worth of about 40 years plus experience in whatever they've done as business people, enterprising as much as they can.
Are those two scenarios that even remove?
No, they are not. You take your time and listen. They are not. But I'm drawing inference into the public and private analogy. There is a reason why it is her own money, but the country had a problem that she kept piles of it in her room. There is a reason why when you become a public person, there are certain things you do carefully. Secondly, Julius speaks about whether it is the personality, we are being hypocritical. Yes, the personality is a key factor. Let nobody lie to you. The moment you assume a certain personality, you are accountable, inclusive your personality. So we may not hold Sammy on his private life. Leave it. I do not care about that. But we will hold him when it comes into the public sphere. So the personality counts. Now there's $1 million question you should ask yourself. If this had happened under the SWAL government and Sammy Gyamfi had entered your studios like today, what would have been the word Sammy would have used? What would have been the word Sammy would have used? The stick that is used to hit the cheek, today it is being used to hit the bar.
But
So
Sammy was not
I am coming. Julius, when you are talking, both of us are quiet for you to talk. Kofi told you to let him land. Please let me land too. It's right, you let me do. I have a lot of things to say. Now, the personality is important. Why is the personality important? Because he holds a public office. Why is the personality important? Because he, the person we are discussing, has done worse, would have done worse to people. So we cannot decouple the personality from the issue. If you do that, it will be a very huge travesty of our discussion in its entirety. Now, let me trickle the matter down on the issue of ethics or not, and then couple it
let me just chip in because you mentioned what Sammy Gyamfi may have said. When this matter did come up, there was a joke that if Sammy Gyamfi appeared on one morning show the next morning, he would say, please, let's call this a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. See, it is not benevolence. This is brazen fiscal exhibitionism. Total normalization of financial impropriety cloaked in the language of generosity. I mean, this is just on the light side. People's view.
No.
If you went on the morning show the next day after this.
Kwaku, you find it on the lighter side, but you see there is a deeper conversation of hypocrisy that must bounce back to Anthony and his people. The hypocrisy he spoke about, he and his people are wearing it in casuals, overall, and pajamas. That is what is happening because they are the same people. They are the same people who would have castigated and attacked any other person found in similar situations. So back to the issue of the ethics, whether it is or not in the student leaders and what have you. I give gifts. Kwame Julius, I'm sure, give gifts. A lot of us, because the African society is termed in anthropology as a gift-giving society. So we love gifts. We are gift-giving and we are gift-receiving. But I told you something earlier. The foundation for ethics is what is worthy. So it might not be illegal, but is it worthy? Is it worthy that Sammy Gyamfi would enter his car, dole out bills as though it is nothing? And Pastor Kofi was saying something. He says the ease at which he parted away with the money. I do not want to go so much into the private life because Sammy might have been doing extremely well in his private life and would have even excess of that. But I asked a fundamental question. One, what would have been the posture of the NDC? Would it this manifestation of hypocrisy? Two, does Sammy or any one of us do our giftings, all our giftings in public? Do we give our wives chop monies in public? No, we don't. So there is a conversation, there is a deeper meaning into private and public.
Does it make any difference that, I mean, because I wonder what you define public, because this was not Sammy Gyamfi. Because if this was not recorded and you met somebody there, are you suggesting to tell the person that, okay, come home or come to the office and come and get the money or something?
You see, the reason why I don't want to go so much into that aspect is that I think that every one of us, some way, somehow, is a gift-giving person. And so I agree with Anthony on some of the issues he's highlighted. But the car was open, first of all, so it became public. The car was not closed. It was widely open. And all around, a lot of people had mobbed him. But that is even on the side. Now, the deeper conversation we need to have for ourselves as a country is that the amount that was parted away with, the person involved in the act holds a public office, carries himself as a connoisseur and apostle of ethics and incorruptibility. And as such, if the Ghanaian people today are asking him questions, they need and deserve answers. Now, the bigger conversation you throw into the field is that what would have happened if it was not in public? You and I won't spend valuable airtime talking about it. It would have been a dead matter. Sammy Gyamfi would not have sat on radio and TV, talk about condoponium, innuendos, caricature, and all the big terminologies he would have used. So the thought of hypocrisy is not for the people of this country to wear. It is that of the NDC.
I mean, I see the point you make. I want you to wrestle there because there's a big conversation to have about what exactly the president has done and all that. But Julius, I want you to respond to the answer that have been given to the points you've made by both Dennis and Kofi Akwa.
Before I make my responses, Kwaku, I'm willing to cede 30 seconds of my time or even a minute back to Dennis. He's talking about ethics. Ethical standards can be defined. We have ways of framing ethical standards we expect from people. For example, the ethical standard of avoiding conflict of interest. If I enter a studio the day after Ken Oforiatta uses his bank as transaction advisor for the loans that the government of Ghana acquires and starts paying himself, I can define the ethical standard I am against or I am advancing as conflict of interest. If I enter a studio and I start talking about why President Akufo-Addo should not have allowed the daughter to register a company in a few months and then give an ambulance contract to her, and then she supplies it at twice or more the market price, there's an ethical standard of conflict of interest I'm raising.
Alleged.
When it is not alleged, the documents are there.
The points about inflated prices and all that.
Oh, please, we cannot verify prices of things online. I have checked.
But ambulances are different.
That is fine. Okay. I said I have checked. Okay. Prudence requires that a public officer purchases the least expensive so long as he can get the same quality. So I have checked. Kwaku Asante, I am bouncing it. I'm giving a minute of my time to Dennis. What ethical standard was breached?
Optics.
He's giving you 30 seconds of his time.
To say what
so Julius, okay, that's fine. I'll give it to him. One of the key cardinals of ethics is respect for the employer, the respect for the people, respect for the people, the citizens that voted for you. So if Kwame Julius, hold on, you asked me a question, let me speak. If Kwame Julius can sit in your studio and tell the whole country that what Sammy Gyamfi did is in respect, is he holds the people of this country that voted against the MPP out of the purported and allegations of opulence. If he believes Sammy has respected him, us, and the whole country with that actions of it, so be it. Let him have it. Right. But I and the people listening will have our verdict, and the social media streets will have our verdict on whether what he is saying today, he's defending today, is indeed what he stood by yesterday.
Right. So
so you can see the people's problem, because I have spoken at length about how members of the governing New Patriotic Party, and indeed, if I had seen it as an ethical wrong for a Ghanaian by reason of being a public officer, giving money to students, I would have also recorded it and put it out there. He has been unable to answer the question whether it is the recording and non-recording that makes the difference. First, he has been unable to answer that. He has been unable. Please. I voluntarily gave you time.
You're allowing that I did not, and I'm telling you, I have.
Let me finish.
Didn't I? I gave you an analogy of private versus public.
Been unable to do that. Dennis Labi, please. I gave you my time, and
Anthony Julius, I did. So don't say I didn't. That's a lie.
Oh, please, Dennis.
Oh, please,
he has been unable to do that.
Can I come in?
Secondly,
Nana Kofi, I'll bring you in pretty shortly. Please hold it there.
I spoke about private and public, so take that out and continue.
What ethical standards were breached? He has been unable to do that.
I have pointed that it is lack of respect for the people.
Dennis, please just allow him to finish the point. I'll come back to you, definitely.
I thought he wanted to give me more time, so it's fine.
And then he goes to the conversation about respect for the Ghanaian people. Kwaku Asante, is respect for the Ghanaian people only a matter of concern if someone secretly records you? Or it's a matter of concern if you are serving in public office that you need to maintain a certain standard whether or not somebody is watching? Because Dennis Labi is unable to say that the ones that people give when nobody is watching is a problem. He has been unable to say that. He is only basing on because someone secretly recorded somebody, then that person is disrespecting Ghanaians. Make this logic work. These are not people after any ethical standard of general application. These are not people demanding any respect. These are people who want to center personalities and tear them apart. I am saying that if it is an issue of ethical conduct, it is not about who is watching or who is not watching. It must be applied whether people are watching or not. So if you are unable to say that and you are whining, I gave him a whole minute to show us he was whining. When we were talking about ethical standards, when we were talking about Cicely Adapa, it is because there are laws that says that there's a presumption of money laundering if you keep a certain amount of money with yourself. If you do that, contrary to instructions your president was giving, ethical questions arise. There are ethical questions if you use your own private companies to make gains at the expense of the republic. Ethical questions arise. They can be defined straightforward. You will not whine. You can define them in 2 words. Conflicts of interest, straightforward. Dennis Labi is unable to do that on this platform right now because it is not about ethics. It is about personalities and wanting to tear them apart. And I am saying that I am not against anybody who is calling for a lifestyle audit into Mr. Samuel Gyamfi. Call for a lifestyle audit if you want. We should all call for lifestyle audits if we see people living in ways they are not supposed to live. That is a fair issue to raise. But to say that gifting money and optics and all these things we are saying, we are being hypocritical. We are liars. People do it all the time. The last time, Mahamudu Bawumia, former vice president of the Republic, gave, I think, $1 million or $2 million to the New Patriotic Party. What was his annual salary?
3 million Ghana citizens.
What was his annual salary as vice president of the Republic? Should we be calling for his head for making that gift? The question is it a function of who the gift is given to? That is why I asked those questions I asked. Is it a function of who the gift is given to? Is it a function of the amount that is given? Is it a function of the denomination that is given? Is it a function of whether or not it was recorded? Is it a function of whether or not it was in private? When we ask those questions, we can then know whether or not we are asking for ethical standards of general application for our public officers or we are targeting personalities.
Right. Nana Kofi Akwa, I know you want to come in, and I want you to box your contribution on this point, the intervention you wanted to make, also with the decisions and the actions have been taken by the presidency. The presidency says they've cautioned Sammy Gyamfi, there will be nothing more.
The first thing I want to say is that it looks like I'm sandwiched between hardcore political this thing. And for me, that's always, I'll be honest with you, gentlemen, for me, that's always a disappointment. Because at the end of the day, what really, and I've been a journalist in this country since the 1997, okay? I've covered every single election, and I have never predicted an election results wrong. Because you have to really listen, okay? Ghanaians were disappointed at the NPP's performance, and they showed it in how they voted. So to sit in this radio station and say the NPP did worse, listen.
I never said that. I never said
that. Listen.
Okay, Julius, I'll come to you so that we can have a very good. So that we can have a very civil conversation. Please hold it there for me. Let the venerable Nana Kofi Akwa make the point. I'll come back to you. Nana Kofi Akwa, please make the point.
what I am saying as somebody who is just a journalist and is not politically affiliated to either of you, I'm saying that you are sitting here saying you don't see any ethical problem because the opposition did worse when they were in power. That's problematic. The second thing I want to tell you that in some countries, in some countries where systems really, really work, just for making a donation in a foreign currency alone, it doesn't matter what. In some countries, just for making the donation in a foreign currency alone would have got him fired. Especially in a country with a currency that keeps struggling. Like we've managed to get to 13 point something against the dollar, and we are celebrating like we've achieved. There was a time in this country when it was a dollar to a cedi. So why are you, as a government employee, as a government employee, what business do you have dishing out money in foreign currency? The least you can do, and you want to sit here and talk about ethics. Either you don't understand the word ethics, or your threshold of what is ethical is really, really low. It is really, really low. And I will encourage you to dig. If you want to really talk about ethics, I can list a lot of things that are unethical. Even the woman he gave the money to. Why are you giving money to this person? As a public leader, why are you building that affiliation? There are many things that are unethical. Just because the standards are so low doesn't mean that originally there are no standards. And I hope that both parties, both the NPP and the NDC, at the end of the day will realize that we have a nation to build. Everything is working against us as a people and as a nation. And the earlier we got serious and sat up as a nation, the earlier we got up and got serious, the better. The better. It is not about just public. Of course, if you're a public figure, there are things I cannot do in public, and not because they are wrong, but because of who I am as the lead pastor of a church. There are certain things you cannot do. It is part of the price of leadership. It is just what it is. So whether it is private or whatever, listen, guys, get serious. We have a nation to build. Ghana is bigger than the NPP and the NDC. And I hope that you learn these lessons. So it is quite shameful. I didn't expect it to become like this. What the NPP did when they were in power was atrocious. It was terrible. And if this is how the NDC is going to start, and you'll be justifying these, I am already disappointed even before you start.
Dennis, I want to hear from you, and because we are just about getting out of here, I want you to do this for me in a minute, strictly. What did you make of the president's decision to say that I've cautioned Sammy Gyamfi, and that is it? Because caution is a form of discipline by the employer. Say that, I take a strong view of what you did, but go and sin no more.
Okay, you give me 1 minute, right?
A minute.
Okay. First of all, I think that we've shown beyond every argument that, and I like where Kofi comes from, Reverend Pastor Kofi comes from. The personality matters. Let no one kid you. Whether it's private or public, whether it is seen or not seen, is a huge deal. It matters. Because you cannot tell me that because we did not catch the armed robber of yesterday, or there was no camera to catch, the CCTV was 40, and we did not catch the armed robber of yesterday, we should not punish the one of today. 3, on the issue of ethics, whenever gifts are involved, Kwaku, whenever gifts are involved, all over the world, standards in law and in ethics, there are ethical implications. Any day there is a gift involved, even if it's a CD, the giver of the gift, the receiver, and the amount. So if he really wants to understand what ethics is, he should ask himself, what is the right amount to be in giftings? The amount you give can create issues for you in ethics. So he should not kid himself on ethics. This is not an ethics lecture. We leave him to go and pick lessons on that. On the issue of the president, the reason why I'm not spending so much, I'm doing just 15 minutes on the president, is that he's the commander-in-chief. But we are his employers. He's the director general or CEO, but we are the board of directors. If he believes that Sammy Gyamfi has not done anything ethical or he needs or deserves a caution, that is fine. I would want to give the president the room to exercise his executive mandate because it is too early. And I think that for me, I don't think that he should be sacked. Let me put that on record. And I think that calling for Sammy Gyamfi's sacking is far too fetched. But I also believe that cautioning alone is too soft for the ethical issues that is arising. But we need to give the president some room, some slack. We need to allow him some space to work. It is early days yet to think that he's made a mistake. For just caution. I think that we need to give the president some credence on that. But shocking is the fact that Anthony Julius and the NDC are defending and justifying and spending loads and loads of energy on justifying this.
Right. Thank you very much, Dennis. I want to give you the last word, Julius. 1 minute, strictly. You talked about ethical issues. There's a matter of a gold board CEO, an institution set up to help show up the city, carrying that much dollars around and actually giving it out. There are those who say that the president should have at least suspended Sammy Gyamfi for 3 months to send a message out there that, listen, some of these conduct is not something I'm going to tolerate. A minute.
Well, one of the challenges we faced in the past 8 years is politicians and leaders not taking the public seriously. Obviously, Mr. Samuel Gyamfi came out to apologize to the Ghanaian people that his conduct offended their sensibilities. I mean, extending that level of, contrition and showing that he respects the people of Ghana, I think is enough to signal that he has committed to not repeating similar things. So caution, I think, is enough for that purpose. But you see, the issue I keep hammering on is the fact that let us be clear what the ethical standard is, so that anytime a politician is giving gifts everywhere, we ask the questions. Let's not make it about one person and whether we like the personalities or not. Because if you listened to Pastor, he said, even this person. So your problem is with who the nature and character of the recipient is. If you sit in your church and they come and give you the monies without us doing the lifestyle audit on them, you are okay. That is hypocrisy. That is hypocrisy. Because Agrada is someone we all don't like, then that one, you are up in arms. But when you go to your church and give it to you and you receive it in your church, it is not an issue. I am saying that we must begin to ask the questions in every instance and set a general standard of application, else we be hypocrites. That is the point.
That is your point, Julius Kwame Anthony. Always fiery when we discuss some of these issues on Ghana Connect. Nana Kofi Akwa, always a blessing because you're a pastor, and always a delight hearing from you on these matters because you bring the nuance that is almost always missing in some of these conversations. Thank you very much. Dennis Apia Labi, thank you for connecting with us all the way from the US. Please bring us some of the dollars when you are coming back. We also need dollars on this. And then thank you very much, Julius Anthony, for also joining us right here. My name is Kwaku Asante. But tomorrow on Newsfile, we are continuing this conversation with Samson Ladenyenini. Dollar gives Saga MPP 3 petitions genuine, because we know MPP MP has sent out 3 petitions to CID, Shraj, and the OSP to investigate that. It's a big conversation with Samson Ladenyenini on Newsfile. And then the CD Miracle, a blip or engineered to last. Fuel prices dropping a little bit. I'm not happy with how much gold have reduced the thing. I think it can go down a bit further because some of us are waiting before we go and top up. So please, drop it further. And then, looming power crisis, 1.1 billion in 2 days, or do so. How exactly are we going to deal with that? All of that with Sammy Gyamfi. Did I say with Sammy Gyamfi? With Samson Ladenyenini on Newsbar. This was somebody who say rent free. My name is Kwaku Asante. This has been Ghana Connect. Always a delight having you join us on this big conversation. Up next is Andy Dusty with the library. You don't have to go anywhere. Please stay.